Welcome to my YouTube channel. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful. Let's start with the topic of humanity's need for prophethood. Part number 26, Prohibiting Alcohol Consumption. O believers! Intoxicants, gambling, idols, and divination arrows are all abominations from Satan's handiwork. So shun them so you may be successful. Islam's straightforward, categorical rejection of alcohol consumption may be one of the easiest facets of the Prophet ﷺ message to appreciate. On one hand, that fact that it was contrary to the prevailing norms at his time among pagans, Jews, and Christians argues against the notion that his ministry was an accumulation of teachings absorbed from his surrounding environment. But in addition to its being revolutionary and original, it was incredibly wise in its framing. The Prophet Muhammad ﷺ informed people that whatever will intoxicate in large amounts, then even small amounts of it are unlawful. Sensible people should notice how superior this advice is to current recommendations to drink responsibly, which rely on the decision-making of those whose ability to make responsible decisions is impaired. Some modern societies have acknowledged this failed logic and attempted to maneuver around it by requiring that a designated driver abstain from drinking altogether to safely transport the drinkers to their homes. To illustrate the inadequacy of these measures, realize that the Harvard Alcohol Project normalized the designated driver concept by 1991 using massive networks that spanned government advocacy groups, Hollywood, professional sports leagues, major corporations, and even had public service announcements prepared by the brewing and distilling companies themselves. When the dust cleared, it turned out that this campaign was focused on the wrong target 3 decades later. A 50% decline in motor vehicle crashes caused by alcohol impairment has still not been achieved. Over 10,000 people in the United States were killed in 2016 by alcohol-impaired driving crashes, 28% of all traffic deaths, with nonverbal peer pressure being a reality even for adults, along with the bother of identifying who will voluntarily remain sober while socializing with those actively drinking. This wishful thinking never had the potential to fully combat the problem. If we turn to the guidance of the Prophet ﷺ on this issue, he taught that it was not enough to prohibit people from embarking on the slippery slope of light drinking through a zero-tolerance policy on alcohol consumption. He ﷺ added that insulating non-drinkers from its magnetic force is only possible through prohibiting them from sitting at a table where wine is circulated. But above all, he ﷺ taught that spiritual and moral refinement were the true bedrock upon which temperance and reform are built. And a person is liberated from this vice. His wife, Aisha, said, "The first revelations of the Qur'an were none other than chapters from the Mufassal, shorter chapters, which contain mention of paradise and hellfire. Then once the people became inclined to Islam, the lawful and unlawful were revealed." If the first thing to be revealed was "do not drink wine," they would have said, "We will never give up wine." And if "do not fornicate" was revealed first, they would have said, "We will never give up fornication." Similarly, Alcoholics Anonymous, a world-renowned rehabilitation program with millions of beneficiaries to date, requires believing in a higher power as part of their program due to its efficacy in helping people recover from addiction. Aside from traffic deaths, the health risks associated with alcohol consumption are vast, involving virtually every system and organ in the human body. The most severe examples of its toxicity involve brain damage and liver failure. Consuming alcohol while pregnant is another epidemic. Due to alcohol being so toxic to a developing fetus, fetal alcohol syndrome remains the leading cause of preventable intellectual disability in the United States, along with a variety of other clinical manifestations. In addition to alcohol's direct toxicity, the detrimental consequences of the impairments it causes are found in the established correlation between alcohol consumption and reductions in workplace productivity, along with increases in HIV transmission, lethal accidents, violence, and abuse. Alluding to the aggressions triggered by intoxicants, Allah cautions humanity in the Qur'an. Satan only wants to stir between you animosity and hatred through intoxicants and gambling, and to avert you from the remembrance of Allah and from prayer. So will you not desist? It is therefore no wonder that the Centers for Disease Control estimate that 95,000 deaths occur every year in the United States alone due to excessive alcohol consumption. The Lancet recently published a study evaluating the burden of disease linked to alcohol, spanning 195 countries from 1990 to 2016. In attempting to determine the amount of alcohol consumption that would minimize its harmful effects while still reaping its minor benefits, they concluded that 0 alcohol was the only non-threatening amount. In other words, the harm associated with alcohol consumption was so great that in no amount was the benefit greater than its harm. Countless medical studies reinforce the timeless message of the Prophet Muhammad, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, as outlined in the Qur'an. They ask you, O Muhammad, about wine and gambling. Say, in them is great sin and yet some benefit for people, but their sin is greater than their benefit. Much like today, the Prophet's sallallahu alaihi wasallam contemporaries would boast before Islam of how becoming drunk rendered them fearless, and consequently, people of valor in battle and generosity in philanthropy. The Quran came to overturn this myopic thinking by juxtaposing these advantages with the inevitable greater harms that cannot be separated from them, such as unnecessary violence and wasting of vital finances. Muhammad's sallallahu alaihi wasallam message made Islam's unique firm stance on alcohol scriptural and ever relevant, not to be contravened by fluctuating politics or supposed benefits. Perhaps this plays a role in why minority communities, who are often disproportionately harmed by alcohol consumption, are converting to Islam in droves today. Thanks for watching this video. Be ready for the next video. Like, share, and subscribe my YouTube channel.